Hello, women of WOVI. It's so great to be with you tonight, and especially on this occasion where we honor some of the most fabulous women right here with us. Matter of fact, I think all of you are fabulous, and thank you so much for being here. I want to start with a little statistic. The workforce is made up of 50% women, but the C-suites only have about 25% of women in them, in those seats. So CEO, CFO, COO. But if you think about this and you look at the statistics a little bit deeper, you'll find that the companies that have strong women leadership actually outperform their peers by 36% in profitability. Let that sink in a little bit. I wonder when I read this, why is that? Is it because as a woman in the C-suite, I know I got to try a little bit harder, I got to dig a little bit deeper, I've got to prove myself? Or is it simply our nature to ask the right questions and to dig a little deeper into the details? I'm not sure which it is, but what I do know is that women make great leaders, and we've got the statistics to prove that. I want to talk to you for a second about a woman that many of you know because she actually was your keynote a couple of years back. Tracy Bernard, who is a very good friend of mine, who also is the president of the hospital here in South Lake, the Harris Methodist, Texas Health Harris Methodist South Lake. I love her story, and I always love talking about her in my speeches because she is a great example of what it means to be a roll up your sleeves, get in there, do the work, earn all of the accolades kind of leader. Now, my goal today, as I'm talking to you, is not to talk about advancing women for the sake of them being women. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in identity promotions at all. What I do believe in is promoting to skill set and promoting to attitude. I think it's very, very important. Tracy actually cultivates all of this. This is why that hospital has actually won so many accolades. This is why, as an investor in that hospital, I absolutely love to see her leading that team. I got to tell you about this time that I went to visit her. I went into her office and she wasn't there. And I asked, hey, where's Tracy? I want to visit with her. And they said, oh, we actually had a shortage of nurses today because we had some call-outs that were sick. And she's working the floor. And when I ran into her, there she was, not in her beautiful outfit, her power suit, but instead she was in scrubs. I never forgot that. That was such a great example for me because even as a leader, you are also influencing other leaders. Let's talk back to what my point was. Not hiring somebody just because of you're checking a box, just because they're a woman, just because they're of a particular class that you want to promote, but because of the skill set and attitude. If you look at Tracy and you look at her skill set, she didn't start as a hospital president. She started in other ways. She started as a nurse. She had to prove herself. What she did always was her best. And because she did her best, she earned respect. And because she earned respect, she earned that particular position. Now, what if she had gone in and not done the job that needed to be done? What if the hospital was losing money? What if they had high staff turnover? But we hired her just because she is a woman. I think the big problem here is that when we do that, and when people get put in positions that they're not ready for, they actually fail. And when they fail, it hurts all of us. Because if Tracy hadn't done her job, and then the time came for her to retire, what do you think when they were interviewing the next possible president, they would think about the female candidates? Whether this is fair or not, this is just reality. But because she worked hard, because she did a bang-out job, when she chooses to retire, they're going to be happy to look at all of the female candidates because she has already paved the way for the next female candidate. And that's really the essence of what I want to talk about in great detail with all of you today. Let's talk about that growth mindset. Having a growth mindset is so important. It's so important to all of us. because when we look at how men and women apply to positions, because maybe you're thinking, well, you know, Tracy's story is great, but it can't be my story. I haven't had these opportunities to build my way up or grow the ladder. Well, you know, there's great ways to step on those rungs of the ladder. But the growth mindset tells us another interesting statistic, and that is that men actually will apply for positions in jobs that they only have maybe 60% of what they've asked for. But they still go out there, they still say, hey, I think I want to do this job. Here's the skill set I have, but here's the things I'm learning and I want to learn and I want to grow into. And they tend to get those jobs. But women, perhaps because most of us are kind of like black and white, you know, here's the rules. Oh, I don't check all the boxes. I guess I can't apply. We can hurt ourselves that way. We need to be looking at positions that maybe we have 60 to 70% of what it takes, but we also have that 30 to 40% of great attitude that tells us, I'm going to grow, I'm going to learn, I'm going to talk to them about how I intend to grow into this role. And maybe that's not just applying for a new job. Maybe that is within your own organization where you want to step up. This is critical. This growth mindset, this 70-30, is a very, very important thing for all of us women to understand, because we don't want to get beat by people that just have taken the opportunity to say, you know, I want to grow into this role, and they have much more personal attitude towards their own growth. We need to have personal attitude towards our own growth. We can have attitude towards all kinds of things. We're really good at that. But what about the attitude we have towards ourselves? Do we say, you know, I think I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to strive? Are we talking to the people above us saying, hey, I want to step into this position someday. What is it you're looking for? What is it you want out of me as a candidate? These are important things to be asking. Now, in this Zoom room, we also have a lot of people that are the mentors, that are hiring. And maybe as some of you are stepping up, you're going to become the mentors that are hiring, that are helping people grow. So let's go through a little bit of a step-by-step process of how we can cultivate a new generation of leaders, how we can rise and shine together. We're going to go through these one at a time. First thing, we have to assess and identify our current talent. What do we have? Who's here that we think has some potential? Know what that is in our organization. Identify those people that show strengths. Now, if you're not sure, you're on the fence, or maybe you think somebody might not step up, but it might be that they just haven't been given a chance. This is where we really want to create a supportive infrastructure. We want to have mentors within our organization. We want to be supportive of those things that people want to achieve. Have those one-on-one conversations and say, what is it you hope to get out of this? Don't be surprised if every once in a while you get somebody who says, I just want to come to work and do my job. I've heard that. That's great. But when I sit down with somebody that says, you know what I want? I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to step into that next level. Maybe it's management, or maybe they say something like, I want to learn something in another department here, or I want to learn everything there is to learn about this organization. Be listening for that, because all of that is very, very important to the growth of the company and the growth of the individuals. And then you want to develop pathways. What does it look like for someone in your organization that may want to step up the ladder or may want to go in a new direction? What are those pathways? What's the roadmap for them? Create some of these things. Do your own research as leaders and as mentors. How do I get them from where they are now to where they really want to go? Developing these pathways is so important to the growth of the individual and the growth of the company. Super important. And then we also want to have visibility opportunities. What do I mean by that? I mean, we want to be sure that we're putting people in positions of presenting. Hey, we're not all great speakers, but how is someone going to get better at presenting and speaking if they're not given the opportunity? Give them projects where they actually can learn and to grow and develop and get up and have to, even if they're terrified, explain something really important to the group. Give them something that's hard. See if they rise to the challenge. Because we can't rise and we can't know who's going to rise if we never set that bar just a little bit higher. Be sure to do that. These pathways are so important. They look a little bit different for every organization, but think about what pathways work for your organization. And then we want to measure and scale. That means, how do we know they're doing a good job? Do we have key performance indicators? Not just for the job that they're doing, but for their growth. Make sure that we're putting those in there. And if you're an employee and you say, you know, this is not me, what you're saying is all from my boss, and that's okay. Share what I'm telling you with your boss. You are already one step ahead. Go to them and say, I want to know what are the key performance indicators, the KPIs that you want to see in me so that you can see me grow. How will you know when I've become a leader? How will you know when I've gotten above the level that I need to be for my position so that you feel comfortable giving me more things to do, more opportunity within this organization, more leadership? I want to talk just for a minute about a very personal story, a good friend of mine. And I love this because she was, in my mind, the best mentor a girl could have. Lucille Fleming, which some of you know because I've spoken about her before at some of your chapter meetings. But Lucille Fleming, I met her when she was 100 years old. She became my best friend, and we were inseparable until 2 weeks before she died, just 2 weeks shy of her 104th birthday. And the thing about Lucille is she was on a farm in Prince Edward Island, pitching hay and growing potatoes. And one day she looked around and she thought, this isn't where I need to be. I see a much bigger, brighter future. And what she did is she left Canada with a suitcase and a locket around her neck. And she came to the United States. She came to the United States in the middle of the Depression, if you can imagine what that's like. She talks about getting off of that bus with her suitcase and her locket and really nothing to her name, and watching bankers in suits that are actually cleaning up trash on the side of the street for pennies because they needed a job. Lucille didn't let that get her down. She thought, I want to go into nursing school and I'm going to get there. But she had no experience. She didn't have the classes she was going to need. But what did she do? She got a job at the local hospital, and she was cleaning bedpans. And as she told the story, those bedpans were so clean that they would slide right off of them, and you could see her face in them. You see, she had a secret that we all need to know, and that is that we need to do our best all the time, no matter where we are, what position we're in. Because what happened when she was cleaning those bedpans and she was taking care of those patients is somebody walked by, took her aside and said, what are you doing here? I see something in you. I think you could be running this hospital one day. I love this story. I loved hearing it straight from her. And this is something that we all need to embrace, and that is no matter where we are, no matter what position we're in, we need to be both the person scrubbing the bedpans and getting them shiny and the person taking the person beside them and say, what are you doing here? You don't need to be scrubbing those bedpans. I see something in you. Both sides of that. We need to be both those people in all that we do. I love sharing stories about Lucille. It's just a passion of mine. She touched my life so much. But I want to leave you with one thing. And that is, be that woman, hire that woman, mentor that woman. Because together we can rise, we can shine, and we can definitely cultivate the next generation of women leaders.